As you know, we are broadcasting from the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, from Talk Radio Row, just outside the Great Hall itself. And joining us now are two of the delegates to that convention, both from the state of California. Dallas Fowler joins me, and Deana Becker as well joins me. They are both Bernie Sanders delegates. And first of all, welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Greetings. Thank you for having us.
Now, you are both Bernie Sanders delegates. You were both elected in really the last big primary of the whole primary season. Did you feel satisfied with the process that got you elected? Were you comfortable with the California primary? There were a lot of questions about it going in.
It was actually two different elections because the delegate elections took place before our primary. That was a breeze. No problems there. But the primaries, they called it for Clinton before we even counted our votes in California. And there is still, I think, something like 12% of ballots that have not been counted to this day.
Yeah, it's amazing. California hasn't been able to get it together with that stuff, but it's been a lot. You know, as we were saying before we went on the air, I was in California. I've been a resident of California for a while, so they got to get it together. I mean, that's for sure.
It was, and I think it's just a general thought of many of the Sanders supporters. Our Secretary of State had a really hard time at our California delegation breakfast yesterday.
Yeah.
They pretty much booed him off the stage. I know these people. I've worked with them in the party for many years, so I'm not going to disrespect them because I still work with them. However, they were very valid in their feelings about some of the things that went on during the election. Most of it is due to the registrar recorder,
right?
Not necessarily under the Secretary of State's purview. Different ballots going out, Republican ballots going to lifelong Democrats.
Right. I've heard all about that.
Many young registrants not being able to vote at all, saying that they had been purged from the voter roll. So it was. The sentiment has been resounding throughout California on that.
Yeah, this speaks to me to a nationwide problem of the voting process not being given the respect and the funding and the priority that it deserves. Okay, so you guys are here. You guys are both Bernie delegates. Were you at either of the meetings where there was booing while Bernie was talking?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. From your perspective, why don't we start with you, Deana?
I'm still a little affected by it.
Okay. All right.
Well, I'll just say this. Senator Sanders met with his delegates, most of his delegates. I have to say, they did not let all of the delegates in. There was some drama even with that, but he did meet with us at the convention center at 12:30 yesterday, and he was giving a rousing speech, and then he asked that they support Hillary Clinton, and that's when it turned south and the crowd booed and jeered and people cried and were very upset, and they said, no, we want to finish this, we want to fight till the end. And so that was the sentiment there.
So look, all right, I'm trying to think of the best way to approach this because there's so many dimensions to this issue. Okay, now do you think that a large number of people boo? Was it a small number? I mean, I've heard different sources that it was a small number, but they were near the microphone.
In the meeting that he had specifically with his delegates, there was a loud, resounding booing. This morning when he spoke at our California delegation breakfast, there was still booing, because they don't want to be told on Monday, even and Tuesday, that they should be voting for Hillary Clinton. They have been elected to come and support Senator Sanders. So they really want to be able to cast their vote and not be told how to vote when they've been here. They've paid their money. They've worked hard to get here. They've been elected. They don't want to be told right away, day one, hey, we need you to vote for Secretary Clinton. So,
and not just that, it's also the issue that we're actually here representing our constituents. They're the ones who elected us. We're here representing them, and we have to vote the way they wanted us to, and they want us to vote for Bernie, and that's what we're going to do.
Now, my understanding is that Bernie has told you that there will be, you will have that opportunity, correct?
We did fill out our ballot this morning. and I know that there will be a roll call today.
All right. Now, why is it? Now, Bernie's saying, we can all do math, right? We're all adults, and Bernie says, in effect, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he's saying, in effect, he's done the math. She's going to get it, and she's much better for the country than Donald Trump would be. So that's where he's coming. Aside from the issue of you came here to cast your votes, you should cast your votes. Now that's going to happen. What do you think about his general argument? Is there a reason not to support her over Donald Trump in the general election?
That's a really good question, and I won't say my precise sentiments, but I'll say a sentiment of many of the Sanders supporters who I've talked with. They don't see a big difference between her and Donald Trump, and so she's going to have to work really hard to show the difference between them. From a foreign policy perspective, many of them feel like she is as equally as scary having her finger on nuclear codes or anything like that. So they feel very concerned about her ability to keep us out of war and any of those additional things. Or is she really going to do what she says she's going to do, because she's kind of changed on some of the issues. So I don't think that they are kowtowing to the fear mongering that's happening. When we talk about the Republican Party and how they push this fear-based politics, that's what's happening here in our party, and that's kind of what's really disappointing for me personally, because I don't operate in fear, and I'm not going to be told, well, we got to be scared of this guy because, well, we have to make sure that we're electing somebody who's going to do all of those things, and I think they just don't see the difference right now. But for me, any other Sanders delegates or Sanders supporters that are listening right now, you should know that Donald Trump does not support organized labor. He does not support a prevailing wage.
Right.
So I come from construction, and I did labor compliance. We want prevailing wages in our states. So that's a critical defining factor for me as to why I would not be supporting Donald Trump.
And what about you, Deana? Is that pretty much your impression as well?
Yeah, well, I know I'm definitely not going to be supporting Donald Trump, but I think the issue that we're facing now mainly has to do, especially with the recent email leaks. A lot of Bernie supporters, and not just delegates, but everyone just feels like the DNC in general stole the election from him. And that's why they're not able to look at Hillary and say that she won it fair and square, because we know she didn't.
So
and the fact that she is silent about it makes her and her campaign appear to be complicit with the actions of these individuals. And even with Congresswoman Schultz, Wasserman Schultz, even with her stepping down from the DNC, with the Clinton campaign giving her a title, even if it is honorary, it's still perceived to be a promotion for bad behavior. And so that's what's adding insult to injury, or injury to insult, So it makes it very difficult for them to come and unify.
So we're talking with two Bernie Sanders delegates here, Dallas Fowler and Deana Becker, both from the state of California. So let me tell you where I'm coming from and see where that fits. Because, all right, so I worked for Bernie for a year, right? So, and I was very invested in his campaign. I'm also disgusted with the political system as it's currently structured. And I also think, candidly, that in many ways, the kind of politics that the Clintons represent is a kind of politics, a way of doing politics I do not support or agree with. Okay, it's power politics, it's Wall Street friendly, it's all of those things. In that sense, I'm a classic Bernie Sanders person. Okay. On the other hand, and I get your point about foreign policy, I'm really scared about Trump because he is so unpredictable and so unethical. All right, so when well, yeah, I know, but there's unethical and there's unethical, right? And so I guess where I come from is, and there's a third piece of it too, which is that I'm trying to figure out how do we stop Donald Trump while at the same time continuing to build the momentum for a genuine political revolution that gets rid of this whole way of doing politics on either side. See, what I'm struggling with, the code that I'm trying to crack, and I haven't figured it out.
Right.
Okay, and I have a radio show because I have a lot of opinions, but I haven't solved this one yet. So maybe you guys can solve it with me. Is how do you stop Trump or the Republicans from getting power, which I think would be really bad, but at the same time keep building on the momentum that Bernie created for genuine political change? Is that even possible?
I think it's still very early, and a lot can happen between now and November. I will say that. And anything could happen that could swing the election either way. In many of these states, we look at the polls, they're within margin of error. And historically, Secretary Clinton's, when she runs in a campaign, she doesn't necessarily go up in the polls. So I think when we look at this, the Sanders supporters have to understand whether or not we actually win this campaign, or whether or not the senator wins the nomination tonight, the huge win that we have. And I realize many are either new to the party or newly active in the party, and they don't understand how progressive the win is for our platform. And I know it's not perfect, we got a ways to go, but they don't understand how progressive it is. So there's that win factor. And then what Senator Sanders said to us this morning was, we can't stop the fight. We have to keep going. Don't give up. Keep going. He has about 100 candidates nationwide that he is supporting with his campaign. We are all gonna still be campaigning. It does not end. It's just beginning. And I think that's the power. He's awakened so many people in this country, and I'm really looking forward to our future now, because I know that vote is going to turn over and we're going to have a progressive country.
Now, Dallas, you were saying that you were already politically active before Bernie came around. What about you, Deana? Were you in the political process, or is this new for you?
I was more of a Facebook activist.
I know a few
activist.
People like you.
Yes,
I know a few of those activists.
Yes, yeah, I'm very opinionated, and I have no problem sharing them. And it just got to the point where everyone kept telling me, you really need to get more involved. Get involved for real and put yourself out there and even run for office. So I'm debating that. But I wanted to go back to your previous question. Piggybacking on what Dallas said, 100% correct. The revolution is just now getting started. There are going to be more progressives that are going to run for office and that are going to win. And, your question about a Trump presidency, I think if he were to get elected, I think we can count on Trump getting impeached within the first year and a half. I really do.
Well, then it's Mike Pence, and that doesn't sound too good to me either, I got to say.
Right.
Because he's just an old-fashioned, horrible Republican, in my opinion. But Trump is kind of a new-fashioned thing. I don't know exactly what he is, but I don't like it, whatever it is.
He had been supporting Democrats. He really is. He's just a green guy to me. He's about money, but historically, he's been pretty liberal.
I know.
So it's interesting to see what this really is. And so I don't know. I mean, there's always these thoughts of, well, are they in on this together? Is this an act? Is he serious about this? Yeah. So, I mean, we don't really know what to make of this Trump campaign and why it's grown so wildly popular. Part of that is half-truths. He tells a lot of half-truths.
He definitely does.
And I think that is misleading to many people.
That's what I find frightening about him, was that he knows enough to know what people care about, and then he lies about it. Now, I guess I would, but it's scary. Right. I guess I would close by saying, I think it was you, Dallas, but you both said something really important, which is that just scaring people. That it seems like every presidential election we're scared with, except 2008, I would say. Right. We're just scared with how horrible the Republican is. We're not told what the Democrats are going to do for us. So I'm certainly hoping that, what do you need to hear from Hillary Clinton that might change your mind on Thursday night?
I need her to be speaking out against TPP. And I understand it's tough for her because she has been very supportive of the president. I was very supportive of Barack Obama from 2007. From whenever he announced, I said, I'm with this guy. I campaigned across this country for our president. And and I love him and his family. However, I do not support this policy, and I want to hear that from her. And we also want to hear a support for a ban on fracking. There are too many fracking sites in our urban communities, and we are giving our children asthma and all types of additional health hazards that should not be in our communities, and I need her to at least commit to removing that from our communities.
Excellent. Okay, and you?
I was actually just going to piggyback on that and agree. That's exactly what I was going to say. And in my wildest dreams, I would love to hear a direct apology from Clinton to Bernie for her role in the primaries. She knew what was going on. She played a part in it. She knows that the election was stolen. She knows it.
Well, I don't think you're going to get that one. I don't think you're going to get that one, but I'll see.
I said my wildest dreams now.
You did. Fair enough. And I will go you one more on the TPP. I will say that I would like to hear her say not only that she opposes the TPP, but to show the American people it's not just talk. She and Tim Kaine are going to whip that lame duck session to make sure that they vote it down.
Hello.
Yes.
And that's it.
Because
Precisely.
they like to say we don't want to embarrass President Obama. You know what would embarrass President Obama? Donald Trump getting elected president. So with that, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it. But Deana Becker, Dallas Fowler, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And can I just give also thank you to Kumon Freeman, who has reached out to us from REACT Radio.
Oh, good.
So
I'll thank him too. Thank you, Kumon.